Hello all, welcome back to what's new in 2022 release wave 1, and today we'll talk about enhancement specifically around telemetry. So a brief introduction about telemetry if you don't know about it is a central online or on-premise environment emits telemetry data for various activities that are performed on specific tenants or on a specific extension that you have built. So either you are running it on-prem or to the central online, you can set up uh, telemetry to kind of receive that data to understand how your extension is performing, or if you are focused about one particular tenant, then how that tenant is performing. The data that kind of fetched from the central using telemetry can be fed into application insights, which is a Azure based service hosted, which gathers this telemetry data, and then you can analyze that data on Azure. As I said earlier, you can either do it on a tenant or on a particular extension. So if you are a partner who is building an app and who would like to monitor how the behavior or the performance of that app is in different uh, tenants where it is deployed, you can then set up telemetry on the extension that you're building. And that's kind of set up by specifying it on app.json file of your extension, and then all the data that kind of generates based on when that extension is purchased by different tenants or different customers, it records that data into your Azure Insight, which you can then understand to make your app, to perform better in the future releases, and where customer is facing issue, where there's a slowness and things like that. At the same time, if you're a partner who would like to monitor health of your customer tenants, then you can define that at a tenant level, and then it'll record all the telemetry signals sent by Business Central from that specific tenant in your application inside. So while setting it up on tenant, you can do it from admin center, uh, and then it emits that data which can be consumed in application inside. So that was just a brief introduction about telemetry. There are already so many signals or processes which emits telemetry data even before 2022 release wave 1. And we are not going into detail of that because that's not the intention of this video, but we'll be only focusing on what's new signals are available with 2022 release wave 1. So if you don't know much about it, want me to talk about it more, just let me know in the comment section, and I'll take it forward from there. Okay. So moving forward, there are three areas where the new telemetry signals has been enhanced. One is development. The three new signals which are available in development, one of them is monitor health and uptake of features. Now, features is what you build in, right? So partners can get inside of these features, including information about uh, did customer discovered it, did they set it up, or are they using it or not, and the user experience with those features. So there is a feature telemetry code unit which now allows you to emit telemetry data to gain insight on feature uptake, that does user have discovered it, set it up, and tried to use this feature or not. Feature uses, that is the customer is using it or not, and then the feature issues if there are any problems that are specific to that feature so that you can enhance that feature in the future release. The second one is around specifying the company name as a custom dimension in the log messages. So this is kind of a problem that was there because if there's a customer who have, let's say, 20 companies, it was hard to identify which company had this problem when you see this telemetry data. So with Business Center now, it will also kind of send the company name as a custom dimension on those telemetry signal, which will make it easier to troubleshoot and analyze well data is being fed into the application inside. The third that's on the development, which looks super cool from a user perspective, is user now can vote whether the error message are useful or not. You and me, or any other developer for that matter, when we build error message, we think not always we think as a customer or as a user who will be viewing this error message when something comes up. So now with this new signal, when a user sees an error dialog, they can actually vote yes or no uh, to the question that about the usefulness of this message, and that data is then that result is then logged into telemetry so that the partner can get that info and maybe change that error message to be more meaningful in the future releases of their extension. So what will happen now? When an error message is shown to user, the error dialog will show the kind of wording like, was this message useful? And based on what user kind of chooses in, the data will logged into telemetry. So those are the three new areas where in the development side, the new telemetry signals has been added. Now let's look at what are the next one. The next one is on governance and administration. To understand how your tenant is performing, you need some insights. And that data is now will be available into the telemetry for the environment lifecycle event. So when changes happen to an environment, like if an environment is updated, restored, renamed, or even deleted, the signals is emitted from the environment telemetry into the application inside. This allows tenant administrator or partners to set up alerts, you know, based on third-party tools as your Power Automate to send those notifications either as text messages, email, or team messages, and others. So whenever your environment is updated, a update is you know applied, environment is deleted, renamed, those events will kind of being signaled as telemetry now, which will give you more kind of information about what's happening on your environment. So that's available as of today with 2022 release wave 1. Now the next one is around the permission error dialog. So when a user gets an error message due to the permission error, it's also now logged as telemetry so that you can help your customers to kind of define permission in the right way. Do you need to set up permissions in your methods while you are developing your extension? And things like that can be defined now by reading that data from telemetry around the permission error messages. So now if a permission error message is shown to the user, the business center will log that data into partner telemetry. And using that telemetry data, partner can get insights on what permission setup triggers, um, error situations for user, and then you can help your users to kind of define or redefine their permission sets as they are getting these error messages. So that's all on governance and administration. Now let's look at the last area where the new telemetry signals are available, which is service and platform. So when a user gets an error dialog, uh, they are also logged into telemetry, as we understand that earlier also. But the error dialog text, which is there, and that also kind of gets insight from the telemetry now, which is available in the telemetry. So if an error message is shown to the user, the business central server will log call to the error method to the partner telemetry. Using telemetry, partner can get insight on which AL code path is triggering that error situation for user and then fix it or redefine that process or help their user to kind of understand how rightly they need to be using that process. The next one is around support engineer can now see user IDs in telemetry. When you reach to Microsoft support, you get into that mode where support engineer can see your data, and record that info. At the same time, behind the scene, a support engineer can now easily find the data if the telemetry is enabled to understand which user it is, so that he or she can make that informed decision that which direction is it, a user driven error, or is it applies to all. So now the business central platform will emit a pseudo user id to telemetry. This will allow the troubleshooter to identify which data in telemetry correspond to a given user. It's a new field on the user card, and to support the privacy practices, it is possible to rotate the pseudo user ID to remove the link between the user to the entries in the telemetry. The next up is action on enabling detailed telemetry is also logged into telemetry. So when a user enables the detailed telemetry from help and support page in your business central environment, the action of enabling that is also logged into telemetry, and a follow-up event is logged when the session leaves the detailed logging. So there is a way when you go into your business center, you can go into help and support and then enable the detailed telemetry. And then till that session remains open, the detailed telemetry is sent out. And then once that session closes up, that comes back to the normal stage. So with that, now that also gets logged in into telemetry. So your troubleshooter knows to kind of make it easier that when that session has been started, when it is enabled and disabled, that all data is also available in telemetry now. The last but not least is about the deadlocks when there is a locking situation happens. So if in a tenant there is a database deadlock occurs, the Business Central server will now log in an event into partner telemetry. Using that, the partner can get inside of which AL code path is triggering that database lock situation for the user, and then utilize that info to kind of fix that problem more easily than going into uh, have a call with user, understanding and replicating that issue, and then trying to figure it out. So with the last one, the database the deadlock situation, that data will now be available in telemetry, and your partner will be able to support you. Or if you are a partner, then you'll be able to support your customers if you have enabled telemetry on the tenant or on that extension that you have. So hope these telemetry enhancement make sense to you. Just to be very clear about telemetry signals, it doesn't expose your uh, user sensitive data. It does respect the policies that are being set. And when the developers are working and writing error messages, they also get warnings that this is a sensitive data. You should not be sharing this because that will then get exposed as telemetry. So as a user, you don't have to worry about it. Your data is secure. It doesn't go out as telemetry. The telemetry only sends signals based on situation where it needs it, and doesn't share your personal info or your client uh, secure data to your partners. So if you are not using telemetry signals, start using it. Try it out. If you have customers on SaaS, or if you are an app source partner who have apps on app source, surely it makes sense. You should have them so that you can help your customers to have their system up and running in a very good performance optimized way. So hope that makes sense and you like what's talked about telemetry in this video. If you are still here on this video, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and do share the video. I'll see you next time with the next enhancement on 2022 release wave 1. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.